Welcome to another episode of In the Name of Service, a podcast committed to sharing the untold stories of those who selflessly serve. Each episode features an interview with men and women who have been called to a variety of service-focused roles, such as the military, law enforcement, ministry, volunteering, and more. You aren't likely to know the names of the individuals you meet here, but our hope is by the end of our time together, you'll not only know their stories, but possibly be inspired to write your own in some way. Humble in nature, but strong in character, these everyday men and women showcase what it is to truly be a servant. We're glad you're here. Now here's your host, Dr. Barb Thompson.
Thank you so much for joining me today for another inspiring episode of In the Name of Service. I'm your host, Dr. Barb Thompson. As a United States Army veteran and operational psychologist, I've spent my career working with military and law enforcement units, conducting in-depth interviews with hundreds of individuals who are hoping to earn their place on high-risk, high-performing teams. In most cases, they've already put in years of grueling physical and mental work just to get a chance to serve and sacrifice more. And that type of selflessness is special, and I feel worthy of recognition. While each person's story is unique and every path to service different, their goals are similar: to do something more, to be part of something bigger, and to make a difference. These difference makers were the catalyst behind this podcast, and it's my privilege to share their stories with you. Today, I get to introduce Ryan Teubner. So Ryan and I go way back to middle school, Ryan.
Yes, we
do. Started in 6th grade for us in Stillwater, Oklahoma. Ryan has forever a super bright light in any room. He's a talented individual, but I think his greatest talent is loving people, honestly, and encouraging people. And when I started this podcast, obviously it's still we're in the humble beginnings already. Ryan was very supportive, and we haven't even seen each other since, I'm sure, college, undergraduate.
Yeah, I think it was our 10-year high school reunion.
Oh, yeah. Okay, good. So it's been...
I think it was.
Anyway.
But I think that was a long time ago.
Oh, don't even say it. It's so long ago. Okay, we're getting old and enjoying it. But anyway, Ryan, Tell us a little bit about yourself.
All right, as you said, from Stillwater, Oklahoma, born and raised there. Have a brother and a sister, both younger. One is in Boston area. The other is in LA. So Jenny and her husband have a son. They're in LA, and Jonathan and his wife Rachel have 3 kids in Boston area. Married to Beth and my wife for 19 years now. And we got 2 kids, Dixie 11, Clancy 6. We are all in on everything, all the kids. It's a ton of fun. We have a good time. I'm in the insurance business. I like to tell people I work in an industry that people hate to talk about.
Totally.
They do not like talking about insurance, but for some reason, I got into the insurance business to sell an intangible product that nobody likes to deal with.
You're the only person in insurance you're so charismatic. And I think that's so different than what people are used to. So anyway.
I would think so. You when you're getting into insurance business, you see, like my grandpa, he suit tie kind of guy. A lot of your old time guys, suit, not me. I will not wear a suit. I do not like wearing ties. It's jeans, it's boots, it's button up at most and call it good.
Yeah.
But I'm super laid back. I'm not one of those pushy guys. When I'm, talking to prospects or clients, a lot of my friends know what I do. And if they want me to help them out, they can. They can just call me, and I can do it from anywhere, all over the U.S. So I give them my thoughts, give them the options, and if they don't want it, that's fine. We won't push it.
Take us. Yeah. They might just buy it because you're fun to talk to, and I hope they do, because I know that
hope so.
So take us back in time a little bit and tell us, what are a few experiences you think from your childhood that helped kind of shape you into the man that you are today?
Great question. And I think the easiest answer is Alton Carter. Both know him.
Oh, 100%.
He was 100% instrumental in me growing up during those formidable years. I say, junior high school, when he was coaching me at tumbling, working for him, just really hanging out all the time.
Yeah.
When him and Kristen got married, I mean, even to when they had Kelton, still hanging out all the time. So I would say just being around Alton, watching him speak, going to schools with him, just hearing his story and how as you know, it's just drastically different from how I grew up.
It is.
But being there and listening to him, that really helped shape who I am today. I think I can't say one experience, but it's just overall the vast majority of the time that I've hung out with Alton is just at that time in high school and early college years. He's definitely been the man that has helped shape me. I think being there and growing up with, you've talked to him before, John Dodson. I mean, he's still an influential guy that I've always looked up to. Those two guys, I would say, really helped me become who I am today. So I would just listening to Alton and how he grew up in 17 different foster homes, being molested, being abused, being the only one to graduate college from his family, really getting out of that mold of that stereotype at that time and what his family was going through is very inspiring. And now having 5 kids and having a great marriage and still moving forward.
Yeah. Yeah. He was so influential in my life too. During like those junior high years, especially high school, even into my college years. 'Cause then I coached cheerleading and he had that facility where we could, oh my goodness. He believed in me more. I worked too. Yeah. Yeah. It's so interesting. He believed in me more than I believed in myself. If I only believed in myself as much as he believed in me at that time, there's no telling what I'd be doing now. But anyway.
Exactly. I would say you could have a podcast, half a Rogan. That's what I tell my buddies that I said, dude, our podcast, when we started, we need to have a half a Rogan. If we can have half a Rogan, we're doing good.
You're doing just fine. How did you get into the insurance industry?
I worked at LifeLock for a while. When LifeLock, before they sold and merged with Norton antivirus software, they were LifeLock. It's an identity theft prevention company. So I sold for them, and that's where I got into sales. But over the time, over those next 2 years, I knew at some point I'd want to get into the insurance business. If you're watching here, that guy right there is my grandpa. Yeah. And he was the chairman of our board at Rich and Cartmill, and really never pushed me to get in the insurance business, but I always saw the success he had and the flexibility to where I can be with my kids and Beth. Right. And I don't have to be in an office working, 8 to 6, 8 to 5, all hours a day. I can have that flexibility. So long story short, just things happened to where I finally called him and I said, okay, I'm ready to come to Rich and Cartmill. Because I was at another agency prior to that they were in Stillwater and they wanted to try to start a property and casualty side in their life and health business. It wasn't a good fit for me. They were going through some things with contracts, et cetera, with another agency. So called them up, said, I'm ready. So it worked out, and I came into business over at Rich and Cartmill in February of 2010. And so just been building my book up. Now, I will say this, and I've had this discussion with some other colleagues of mine in our Tulsa office. He also saw the successes that he had with his parents being in the industry and his family and friends. What we did not see, however, was the hardships that it takes to build a book of business. We're sitting there, you can have your compensation, however it is, take a draw here or not, and you're just going straight off commission. But at that time, it was just me and Beth. And so, well, she wasn't pregnant yet. And so I came over, had a little draw, and then she gets pregnant that year. Let's see, that was in 2012 after 2 years working. She gets pregnant, gets fired. So it's still on me, and I'm still working to build that book because it just took me, and I'll tell anybody this. I tell anybody that comes to me, asking for advice, younger ages coming in, I'll tell them, don't do what I did. It took me a lot longer. I would pick up the phone because at LifeLock, I was used to calling and dialing for dollars. You call prospects, you call people you might want to try to write their business on the business side or personal side. But I didn't realize how much of a relationship-driven business this truly is. So, long story short, it's worked out, building great relationships, and I get that flexibility. That was the most important thing to me, was the flexibility. And that's why I wanted to get into it, because you can make a really good living in this business. It is hard. You get told no a whole bunch, but you're putting yourself out there. You're building that confidence. Yeah. And the more you study and learn, my grandpa told me you just have to be a student of the game. And where athletes watch film, we have to read and learn, go to classes and get more education, which is what Rich and Cartmill is about. And they give me the flexibility to be with my family when I need to.
Yeah. So many of these concepts, though, are like, they can go across contexts. In psychology too, it is all about relationship. When you come down to, you could know, everything there is to know, but if you can't build that relationship, you're not going to be any good to anyone else. Right. And then just knowing how to fail and continue to study, continue to have that learning mindset. And prioritizing what's most important to you in your life and shaping it around those values. Can go outside of the insurance industry, obviously, but you stay really busy and connected and involved even outside of your work. How do you have the energy for all of that?
That's a great question.
Maybe you don't. No.
That's a fantastic question. I don't know how I have the energy. We do it. Beth and I, we make it a point to, and we always have, we made it a point when we had Dixie that we were going to sacrifice. At that time, I was making pennies on the dollar, but we knew how important it was for Beth to stay home because her mom stayed home, my mom stayed home. Yeah. We knew we wanted that to happen. So we put our kids and their activities, I don't want to say first, but we do put them first. We want to be there for the kids. I think and that's one of the reasons why I'm so fortunate and happy to be where I am career-wise, because we can. We were talking before, Dixie's in gymnastics for 26 and a half hours a week, Monday through Friday. Yeah. That's a lot of time. Then they have jujitsu, kickboxing. Clancy has jujitsu, kickboxing, soccer. So we make it work, but it's because I have a wonderful, cool wife too. So we can make it work where if I need to not be there, then she takes it. But it's, as parents, with kids, you make it work. Yeah. So no matter how much energy you have or not. But I get so much joy in just watching Dixie get new skills. See her at jujitsu. We just started in May, and see her figuring it out, figuring moves out, sparring, and getting that wrestling in, which is just so much fun. I love seeing Clancy score a goal in his soccer. It's just the joy that I see with those kids that I think gives me that energy to just want to go back. Not feeling I have to, but it's get to go. You get to go watch your kids. And you get to go hang out with your wife. That's what gives me the motivation to just continue, writing business and in this industry, as well as just being there for the kids, watching them grow up.
Yeah. But Ryan, you have always, from my recollection, okay, so I can't speak for you. I can't speak for other people's perception of you, but you have always been someone I know is joyful. Mm-hmm. It didn't matter what external circumstances you were going through, and everyone struggles. That's just the human condition, right? But you were always a person that brought joy, encouragement to others, and you're super resilient. Like, I just feel like people can't tell you no. But anyway, how is that possible?
I don't know the answer to that. However, I love living. I love life. I love being with people and making them happy. I love putting a smile on people's faces. I think my mom says I've always been like that, from
I believe
a baby to now. I mean, and I think Clancy is a lot like me, that he's going to be the same way. Mm-hmm. Never meet a stranger, always willing to go say hi, try to put a smile on her face. I mean, it's that love for life, and love to just make people happy. I mean, I hate having difficult conversations in the workplace or in life in general. Just stresses me out, and I don't get stressed. Beth knows I don't do well with stress, because I don't. There's things in life that should stress me out, but I just don't let it, because it's not healthy. If I get stressed out at work, whether it's a big renewal coming up or a claim that's going bad, and I had one client that didn't buy property insurance, and the hurricane happened last year. Wow. It's stressful. But I try not to let it get to me, because life is fun. Going back to, middle school when we met, and even with Wyatt, I played baseball with Wyatt. Mm-hmm. And so, I mean, it's fun being jovial. It's fun living life and making people happy, seeing them succeed.
Yeah.
I think and we're going through this with Dixie, to where, I mean, she's really, really good. But it's hard for her as an 11-year-old little girl to realize how good she can be and how good she really is already. Taking that aspect with Dixie and giving her the confidence is a lot like me, or giving you the confidence with your podcast. Yeah. Or, with anybody else, with a new young agent coming in saying, you can do this.
Right.
I mean, you have the skills. You just got to go do it. Go make the calls. In our industry, it's a law of large numbers. I mean, I've told you before, you get told no a lot. But if you can equate it to baseball, those Hall of Famers struck out 70% of the time.
Right.
They were up. They're batting 300. So they're getting out 70% of the time. So if you can equate that to the insurance business, then you're perfect. I mean, you will have a great career. Same thing with, Derek, who is on your podcast. He's doing some incredible things in the home health network that he started.
Right. Yeah.
And so it's just being there as a sounding board and a friend, saying, dude, you're doing great. And I'm excited to see what he comes up with and does. Same thing with Dixie. Dixie, this is reality.
You're awesome.
You're pretty good. Okay? Look at these people. They're doing the same thing. They're 14 years old. You're 11.
Yeah.
You're good. You're okay. And so I think it's just, for me, with being, I don't want to say overly joyful, but I think, remember Mrs. Dominic, Noah's mom?
I do.
She was, ninth grade, eighth grade teacher, or ninth grade teacher, I forget. But on the report card once, my parents had to talk to me about this. She said, he is loud and boisterous. And which I think I still am. Loud and boisterous.
Yes.
I am in an office by myself we have 2 buildings over here in Oklahoma City. So I'm in the annex building in an office, and I can close the door and talk. I talk loud.
Right.
And I am loud and boisterous, and I get animated. It's just who I am.
Right. Yeah.
But I think that's what draws people know that I'm genuine too. I just try to be super genuine in telling people the truth. I mean, I've told people, listen, you're at the right spot on your insurance. I mean, if you want us to write it, great, but you're right there at the right spot. But I've told others that, hey, I think we can help you out. And we have. But it goes back to that relationships. If I didn't have that relationship, then they wouldn't trust me. It's built on trust. And that's what life is. You know, we've known each other since middle school, however long ago that was. But, I mean, if we didn't, you might want to do some more digging and realize, okay, who is this guy?
Right.
But it's that lifetime built on trust and the relationships. I mean, we're in...
Yeah, it's consistency.
On the cheerleading days.
Oh, I know. Yeah. And I always thought you were so brave for doing that because our, cheer program did not include males really until you and Mark, and it was just like, man, you guys were so incredible. And you go out of your way. Like you didn't have to tell any of us, like the encouragement, it's not a requirement, right? It's not a requirement, but you're showing up, you're doing it for who knows how many people every single day. When you get tired, when you get down, when you get discouraged, like you're the encourager. How do you bounce back, Ryan? Like, do you have a challenge that you've gone through? Can you talk us through like how you work through it?
You pour yourself a glass of whiskey, you enjoy it, you just go on. No, but whiskey is good. I like it. I think it's just when Beth knows me better than anybody, right? She knows when I'm getting down, I'm getting frustrated, and it all leads back to being able to go out to see clients, see prospects, and just knock on doors and go out and see people. She knows I need people. To where if I haven't done that in a while, maybe it's been a week or so that I haven't been able to go out and prospect, or I haven't been to go see clients. She will tell me, it's probably time you go see that. Luckily and fortunately, I don't get down and depressed a lot. I don't know how to help others when they are down and depressed because I'm not there. I've never been there. So when I do it, I have the mentality of there's always somebody who is in a worse position than I am, no matter what. If I lose an account, if I'm just head's not right, mentality is not right, if I'm getting told no a lot, string of no's. And it would happen early on in my career. I remember I was rocking Dixie to sleep one night and I was looking for jobs because it just wasn't clicking. However, Beth would say, no, you need to stick with it. And because she believed in me. But at that time, my mindset, my brain was thinking, man, I got to do something to provide for the family. My dad provided for us. So I got to be able to provide for them because I don't want Beth to go to work. But with Beth's encouragement, I was able to make it work. But since that time, it's just that mental state of mind knowing that no matter what's going on, it could A, always be worse, and B, somebody else may have it a lot harder than we do.
Yeah.
Or I do.
Right. What do you think has been your greatest challenge
Golly. I think comparing myself to others. Maybe it's to some of my peers that have been in the business about as long as I have. Maybe they are higher, have bigger books of business, or where I want to be right now. I think the biggest challenge for me is just comparing myself to others when in reality, I need to compare myself with where I am yesterday. Mm-hmm. Am I better today? Am I better in meeting my goals, no matter what those goals are? Am I meeting my goals that will help me out and further not only my career, but am I meeting and being my goals to where I can stay with the family? I can hang out and watch Dixie or Clancy, go to their practices while still maintaining a good book of business. My biggest challenge and weakness, I think, is just comparing myself to others in my field. Mm-hmm. I think that's probably the biggest challenge that I face.
Take us through how you get yourself back on track or how you catch yourself doing that. Because I think we all do that. Mm-hmm. We have a tendency to do that, but typically it does not lead anywhere good, especially because we all have our values and our priorities are a bit different because we were created uniquely, right? For unique purposes. But we tend to compare ourselves to other people. How do you catch yourself and then just get right, get on track?
For me, it all goes back to my mindset. I've got one of my clients who's now my friends. He always says to his baseball teams, you got to get your mind right. I think that holds true in life. Whenever you're facing a challenge or getting down, you just got to get that mind right to where you can come out the other end stronger and better. It's so much of what we do is a mental game. Mm-hmm. Having your mind and the mental toughness, especially for Dixie in a sport like gymnastics, is key. Because even no matter where you are in life, if I get down and depressed in the insurance business, it could wreak havoc on you and cause you to go somewhere else or do something else. It all goes back to that mental toughness, I think. Listening to a lot of podcasts with military veterans. I was never in the military, but I respect the hell out of all of them because of what they did and their mental toughness. No matter if you're looking at a special forces guy or somebody who is a canine guy or infantry. I know my cousin just retired from the military, and his mental side was, it's really strong. That's what I admire about military law enforcement, first responders, listening to any number of podcasts. It's the mind game. When I started comparing myself to others, I always go back to what I heard on a podcast, where I either heard it on a podcast or saw on an Instagram post from Chris Osmond, who's he was a former SEAL as well, that no matter where you are right now, no matter what house you live in or how big it is, and I'm paraphrasing here, that is somebody's dream house. Beth and I have lived in the same house since we got married. It's a little old farmhouse that was built in 1910. But 19 years and 2 kids later, probably need a new house. So, however, our house is somebody else's dream house. I could compare myself and just get so down and saying, I want a bigger house. You how I grew up. That house I grew up in, it's not a small house.
No.
So, but our house is a great house, and it's somebody else's dream house. And I just have to remind myself that no matter what, we got it pretty good. We got a great family, great wife, great kids. They're good human beings. That's all you can ask for.
Yeah, I just wanted to see that little loop, like just how it was for you personally. And I think you do. You've gained through the encouragement of others and your experience of them, and through outside resources like books and podcasts, and just learning, like recognizing that other people who have that resilience that you strive for have these certain things that they tell themselves. And then you have that loop for yourself, like when you start to get discouraged, or in your case, comparing yourself to others, which again, I think is something everyone does, then you start to say, no, that's not the truth. The truth is this. Yeah. And it changes everything.
Oh, it definitely does. I think once you get your mind right, and once you can put things back in perspective, I think it really changes a lot of perspective for you, and how you view life, how you live your life, how you want to build something greater, but in due time, that'll happen. When God's timing is right, the land will be there for us. The place, the housing plans that we want to build, it'll all come together. It'll be magical. And I've always said, and Beth and I have had a discussion to where I appreciate where I am so much because I remember where I was when I started. I remember rocking Dixie looking for jobs.
Right.
I remember living how we lived on that little income. I do not know. However, we made it work.
Right.
And we sacrificed. We drove old cars. We drove them till they fell off. We lived in the same house. And what I like about the house is I could afford it then and I can afford it now. To where you're not living beyond your means. So if you just put life in perspective, that just helps out tremendously.
And I hear gratitude in there too. Like you are to basically telling yourself, open your eyes. Would a big house fulfill you? No. Would a new car fill your heart? No. But here you're in a position where you're literally like, you have to reach out to people every day.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm telling you, Ryan, like the number of people you encouraged, and I can just speak for myself, how encouraging it is to hear from someone you haven't heard from who has no requirement to contact you ever, and to say, hey, like, I like what you're doing. You're doing a good job. That changes the world. I don't care where you sit.
Thanks.
That changes the world. Okay. Let's say there's someone, they're hearing your story. They feel a call to serve, whether it's a vocation or not, doesn't matter. Right.
Right.
But they don't know where or how to get started. What would your advice be for them?
I think find what you're passionate about. Like you said, it doesn't have to be a vocation. It doesn't have to be a call to serve in the military.
Right.
But just if you're serving, so for example, me with the insurance, my grandpa always said, the insurance business has done so great for us, you got to get back. So that's being on boards for our association or our national association, or our local city association. Find what you're passionate about. Clearly, I love dogs. If you follow me, you know that we have 3 dogs.
Yeah.
Love dogs. I love working with military and first responders. I love the insurance business. I just have a zest for life to be able to serve and give back. But there are times to where you have to say, okay, I've been on this board this many years. Now I'm on this board. Now I'm on this board. I'm on all these boards. You have to have time for yourself. You have to have time for your family. So I'm in that season to where I'm not on any boards.
Yeah.
I'm not serving, besides one board, but that's a fun board. That's the Team 10 Booster Club. So for the women's gymnastics.
Yeah.
Women's gymnastics. And I'm the president of Team 10. But that's literally a fun board. It's not like we're meeting every month. That's fun. But I'm in that season. So if for anybody that wants to serve, find what you're passionate about. If you're passionate about dogs, there's so many nonprofits out there. If you're passionate about military, first responders, social service work, there's so many great organizations out there that you can be a part of, maybe serving on a board or maybe volunteering. That's what you got to do. Find what you're passionate about and what you enjoy doing. Because why would I go do something I have no rhyme or reason that I want to do? That makes no sense.
Right.
I want to be happy. I want to be able to make people happy. I want to go where my talents can best serve others.
There you go. That's right.
So that's what you got to do.
Awesome.
It's pretty easy. But I think that not enough or not many people realize if you just take it down to the root of everything, if you're happy about it, if you're passionate about it, go do it.
Yeah. And it is, game of comparison too. You look at this person and say, oh, they're doing so much, good in the world. I want to be like that. It's like, that's great, a great model, but you're not like that. You're not like that for a reason because you were called to something specific. Right. And It's always like those small little steps around you. But, I share in that experience too, the things that you naturally are drawn to, just have the faith in the process that those small little steps day after day are going eventually lead to a lifetime of impact. So you just got to start. Start now. Start today.
So what advice would you give somebody?
Yeah, I would say the same thing. We hold ourselves back so much. I think one, because in the belief that we have to do something really big for it to matter. And two, because we don't believe that we are capable. Right. And I think if you get rid of both of those things and you just make it a point to be kind to the people around you and to, when you have that inkling in your heart, like that still small voice, you have the courage to do it, knowing, hey, it might not always be in your own strength. And those little things, I think, do lead you down a path that's all your own.
Right.
Ryan, I've taken up enough of your time. Any parting thoughts?
We got plenty of time. We can go on and on.
Yeah, we'll go all day. Yeah. Any parting thoughts? I'm so grateful that you that we're just back in touch and that I'm getting to see, grown up Ryan impacting the world in only just the unique way that you do. It's a blessing to me just to be in touch with you. But I also want to thank you for the time that you've put into this conversation today, and just like the courage you had to come on and talk about yourself. So
absolutely, it's I'm not it's one of those things. If you think about it, you're looking back and going back to our conversation or the 20 plus years we've known each other, and you've seen a lot, jovial and excited and happy-go-lucky Ryan, but there's times where I'm not. I'm not a perfect guy. But if you can realize that everybody has our own faults, how do you persevere? And go through that in life. That's what you want to do, and that's the goal. The goal is my goal is to make people happy,
right?
And help them out. I've always been the one that I want to help them out. I think that's going back to Alton or hanging out with him and seeing, he had help. He's willing to help out anybody. And so, you want to model that after if you can, if you can help and have the means and resources to help, then great. I enjoyed listened to your podcast, so I wanted to let you know, hey, you do a great job. I love it. So I'm so glad that you started your podcast, and I want to start my own podcast with my buddy Wes. And so I think we're going to try to get in. And you've been a big help on that too.
Good.
So,
well, I'll help even more. But yeah,
yes.
We'll be on the lookout, and then we'll make we'll get the information out there for any of the listeners that want to. It's going to be super fun conversation. So I can't wait.
We're excited. It was an insurance podcast that talked nothing about insurance. It was great.
Yeah,
we had a lot of stories, a lot of fun. And so when you get 4 people together that good buddies, it's bound to happen.
Yeah.
And so, but I want to thank you very much for the opportunity.
Yeah. And we'll put as much contact information as you want in the show notes so that if anyone wants to reach out or has specific questions for you or maybe regarding the industry that you're in, that they can find you. Until next time, Ryan, thank you.
Hey everybody, thank you for joining us for another incredible episode of In the Name of Service. If you enjoyed today's episode, please like and subscribe. And of course, feel free to share with those you feel would like to be inspired. Have a difference maker in your life that you'd like to see featured? Reach out to Dr. Barb Thompson at inthenameofservice@gmail.com. We'll see you next time.